Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to some of the audience. So, we have started with another edition of FIOB podcast. Football is in our blood. So, this is the special Manchester Derby edition. So, first, I would like to talk to Debraj. So, what is the mood in City camp before the Derby?
So I personally don't have any idea, but they are they are doing well right now. The run they have been on recently, I think it's a very positive thing, and obviously they are clear of Manchester United by a huge gap as of now. But I don't think it is going to be an easy game. It's obviously going to be a tough game since it is the derby, and even though Manchester United have had like a you know dry run recently, like a lot of nil-nil draws in their Premier League games recently, I think still they will step up, and I think it's a very good opportunity for Manchester United to break their they have been called out a lot this season for not performing against big teams. So I think this is a very good opportunity for them to you know overturn that, just like they did in the 17-18 season when Manchester City was supposed to win the title at the Etihad, like if they did beat United, but then United won
Mhm.
the game. I think this can be like a similar situation. So yeah, that's it.
So, on that note, Sharat, there was a lot of talk in January about the 21st title for United, and City's 21 match winning run seemed to have put a spanner in the works. So, what do you think? How do you think Ole will approach the match?
It's nothing new. I mean, we've seen this pattern where Ole has been rightfully called out for being taking a very pragmatic approach to his games against the Big Six. So you can see there's a lot of losses and there's a lot of draws, but primarily this could be seen as a manager who wants to take the 1 point in his bag rather than risk it for a three. And if you look at the tone at which Manchester derbies have happened over the past couple of seasons, there's always been a lot of, how to say, there's been a lot of adrenaline, there's been a lot of blood. They want to go for the kill, score goals. And now that the crowd is not there, that's a small advantage that goes out. But still, at the end of the day, like any other derby, at the end of the day, the fans want the bragging rights. And at this moment, while we are just first and second, there is a gulf in the class at the moment. City at the moment have amassed an exceptional run. And this is by in no sorts an exaggeration. We know how people have stepped up. We know how Cancelo has come across to become one of the best fullbacks in the league. We know how Rodri is silently doing his business, Gundogan coming into the scheme of things. And all this without having a conventional striker. And you can come to United. United also, there is a small case that they have been overperforming what at the moment, but at sometimes there is that whole vital edge where you need to win the game, and sometimes that momentum kind of carries over, and that momentum helped us a lot, especially by Bruno. But again, I mean, going into the match, we would always like to get the 3 points, considering it's probably the biggest match of the season. But tomorrow, but day after, there'll be some kind of a hesitation, and there'll probably be a small kind of interest to see maybe if Ole can switch up things and we can go for the kill. Because at the end of the day, like I told you, bragging rights, quite important.
So, Sharat, for your midfield, it has been since Devraj mentioned that there was one specific Premier League tie sandwich between two Champions League ties against Liverpool,
Mhm.
in which Paul Pogba single-handedly destroyed that centurion
Yeah.
Manchester City. So, with
Mhm.
Pogba missing and with Bruno's haywire form against the Big Six, McTominay
Mhm.
obviously scored in his last appearance, lobbing over Ederson. So, what
Mhm.
do you think about the United midfield?
There's a lot of it to do with Bruno's current form. Can be looked in two ways. Generally, when United set up, we have two options. One is the McFred double pivot, which totally means that this team is out to ensure that no one can breach that defense. It kind of provides a kind of line of solidarity in front of Maguire and Lindelof. Lindelof's known to be very error prone. So having two live wire work rate midfielders kind of helps the defense, but then you notice a lot of Bruno dropping deeper to get the ball and proceed it forward, which kind of increases the amount of workload that he has. Imagine someone has to come drop down, get the ball, pick it up, throw it out to our frontline players, then again come back into the thick of actions. I mean, I think so to a good extent. That is where Bruno kind of falls behind. Now, when we talk about someone like a Pogba or a Donny alongside a McTee or a Fred, and then you put Bruno up ahead, it necessarily doesn't have to drop back that much, because a lot of the creative load is being taken up by these players before it's being spread out to the wings or being caught in. So due to the lack of options, I think so we're again going to line up with a McFred double pivot. So Bruno might be nullified, might not. It again comes down to if he can turn it up a notch. But more than Bruno, I would actually like the other players around him in the front line to actually probably start looking at areas where they can capitalize more. We've seen Rashford single-handedly carry the United attack, but there is also an issue where he has to start learning to play the ball earlier. There is talk about Dan James trying to exploit spaces, but he could go about being a little more wiser in areas. I mean, these are all fine areas. You can think that, okay, maybe they're young. But at the end of the day, if you have to take that world class touch ahead, you have to work on those fine areas. So, I mean, I know that Bruno can turn it up. He really can. He's been probably 2, 3 games and he probably will come back to form. But at the same time, people around him also need to start getting more aware of their passes, of their through balls, of their runs. At some times, especially against a team like City, Pep has really created a very systematic team, and if you lose possession to them, you could really create a lot of chaos for yourself, especially with a KDB kind general in midfield and good wingers and a proper false nine kind of a forward up top. So I think that Bruno might find his form, considering that we will still look to play on the counter. But more than Bruno this time, I would actually like the other forwards around them to actually take it up a notch and actually think, okay, fine, this time we need to take it up. Because at the end of the day, the 3 points is really important, considering we have to close the gap with City too.
So, Devraj, I came across this interesting stat that Raheem Sterling has not scored against United in 22 appearances. So, after
Yes.
breaking the Anfield duck last time, do you think he can
Hmm.
break the United duck this time?
I don't think so because I don't think so because he he needs to improve his finishing, because if you watch the other Manchester derbies that took over these years, he got a lot of chances to break his whatever duck he has against United. I don't think it's a huge deal because he obviously has a lot of goals against a lot of teams. Even though he broke his Anfield duck this year, he scored against Liverpool last year also, I think, at the Etihad
Yes,
fixture.
Etihad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a big deal because he's getting goals against other matches and stuff. We only played, United got the double of over us last year, and it was just not him who struggled. The whole team struggled. It's just it's just a matter of time if he does get it. Even if he doesn't get it, it's not like he's a player that is underperforming in other games. And as of now, I don't really think it's like a very, you know,
Sergio Aguero has been striking fears in a lot of United fans. That last minute goal still gives them a lot of nightmares. So Aguero has only not even started 350 minutes this season and is out
yeah.
of contract. So what do you think about his future? Would you like him to stay or
I
what would be
definitely
your
would love him to stay. I would definitely love him to stay personally, but I don't think he will be staying because Manchester City are like the board and all that we have. These group of this administration system, they like to get the things out of their way very quickly. Like they don't like to keep anything for last moment. If you see like contract extensions and stuff, Manchester this board tries to like wrap everything up as soon as possible for a long term plan. So if it's literally a few months away from the summer transfer window, I don't think Aguero is going to stay, because if Manchester City had any intention of like, or even if Sergio Aguero had any intention of staying, I think they would have come to an agreement by now.
talking about off form strikers? Now we go to United and there are two standouts. One is debatable, Mason Greenwood, but he has not hit the heights of last season. And another one has got a lot of abuses from United fan base. That is Anthony Martial. They are coming up against Stones and Diaz, who have literally scored more goals than they have conceded. So, what do you think about the United attack against this City defense?
I mean, when you look at Stones, Diaz, Cancelo, Walker, Zinchenko, you have a set of defense which can be shuffled at any point of time. So I still don't know what is Pep going to throw up when we come up against them on Sunday. Coming to Mason, I think so. First of all, air is on his side. So, I mean, that is not exactly a very big excuse. But the fact is, last season, we kind of used him a lot on the right. And he had that whole phase where he was cutting in and shooting. And it was obviously glorious for us as fans. But this year, I think so, with the onset of Anthony Marshall being there, and also with the signing of Edinson Cavani, who is a notorious figure in Europe's top five leagues for scoring. And I think so that Cavani signing was very good because he's there for a short term, but he can actually help these forwards pick up maybe small nuances, slight nuances that can help them a lot. And Cavani is someone who I actually think should have a role in the Manchester derby. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if he's injured or not at the moment, but if fit, I think so he would be a very key area because he has had experience playing in a lot of leagues internationally. Name the defender he has come up against them, and he's also found multiple goals too. So it is not a surprise. And this season too, he has continued his scoring form, albeit not at the same rate, but still he has been getting the goals in. So, and Anthony Martial, while having a very disastrously poor season, has two things that can still benefit him. One is he drops a lot. He drops deep to facilitate attacks. He creates lanes. While, like, there is the whole saying that at the end of the day, all of this doesn't matter. He's a striker. He has to score goals. Yes. And that is absolutely there. He has been missing some shambolic chances, and that is obviously hurting our chances too. But my point is, if Anthony Martial is thrown off the bench, there could be some kind of vitality that comes against playing these defenses, probably that late burst of speed or something of that sort. Similarly, switching Mason Greenwood and probably switching one of Dan James too. Dan James is very good off the bench. I still hold very high value of him as a squad option because when you take him on at 70 for someone with such raw pace and the ability to exploit spaces, see, you can't have world class players in every position. You can't have world class backups. What you can do is put them into a team and ensure that they keep on developing every now and then. And that's where I rate Dan James a lot. And probably in the Manchester derby, it would be really useful. See, we're still coming up against a team which has literally zero flaws this season. But the only thing we can do is hope to play our cards right, and hopefully that catches them out. That being said, I think if Cavani has a shot, he should be playing. But else, we have to just stick with Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, and hopefully they come up with their sparks like they've done time and again.
Now that you have mentioned that there is no flaws in this City lineup, we all know that United's greatest legacy is treble, and City are actually gunning for a quadruple. So, what are the sleepless nights ahead of you?
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's obviously you have a team which is we have two teams in a city which has been boiling for the title, boiling for rivalry. There has been fights, there has been banter, all of that aside. And when you leave a very high kind of a treble kind of an achievement, and then you see that there is a team with a legit chance of topping it, you're obviously scared. Yes, that's there. But from a small footballing perspective, if whatever Pep wins this year, he's earned it because he's fine-tuned the system to that level. I mean, where they say when you play all your cards right, you deserve whatever comes with it. And I think so Pep has done that. It could be playing Cancelo, it could be finding out a revelation in Ruben Diaz, it could be how Rodri silently going about changing things, Gundogan taking things into his hand when KDB was out. All of these play a very vital role in a long season. And I think the trophies that they win this year will be testament to that.
Liverpool have dipped this season. City are
Mhm.
again relentless. So, what do you think? Do you think is the United's next title chance coming? Because this season it came and that went away for after just 2 weeks.
To be very fair, bar a very few reactionary Twitter accounts, there was never a title charge in the first place. It was very incessant overperforming, and Bruno literally gave his 200% to carry us through that phase. You have to give that credit. As a team, see, when Luis Enrique was winning with his Barcelona, no one asked how they won. At the end of the day, they were happy with the victories that were coming through. It is a similar phase. You don't exactly have to tinker or find out what's going wrong because at the end of the day, you're getting a 1-0 goal, someone's shooting from somewhere, or probably you're getting a penalty, you're nicking it. There are a lot of factorials that come through. But at the end of the day, we were getting those 3 points. And just like with any other kind of momentum, that is bound to fall at some point of time. So that just happened right now. And that kind of exposed our lack of plan Bs. So, see, unless we fix those plan Bs, there is no title charge exactly. Currently, at the moment, there are a lot of makeshift players in our squad. There are a lot of, how to say, let's put it, some players who are not very adept at progressive passing the ball. Some people are holding it too long, silly mistakes in defense. Once you iron these out, and then you need some more luck to go ahead with the title charge. You can have the best team in the world, and if you succumb to, if there is certain injuries or factorials here and there, you can still succumb to a very poor season. It's very evident. It's the EPL. It's probably one of the most highly competitive leagues in the world. You not only need a very good squad, you need to have the luck factorial too. Currently, we are probably few keys and pieces away. I mean, we leave the whole debate as to whether Ole is a competent manager or not for some time later. But at the current point, there are still certain personnel based areas that we need to fix. Like we need someone who can probably progressive pass from the defensive midfield area. There is a lot of argument that McT and Fred are having very good careers, but unless they start progressing the ball a bit more, Bruno's creative load doesn't reduce. And the more he absorbs, the more jaded he becomes. Then we have Lindelof with his constant errors. So we need someone who's more competent over there. And Bai with his injuries is not exactly helping the situation. So probably one more centre back over there could help us make some do some tinkers. So currently a title charge is not exactly on the cards, unless again the whole team starts to overperform and probably put up a good string of results. But even then, there are a lot of credible factors that are actually up there. Liverpool having a dip of form at the right point of time allowed us to take that lead. But still, now we have a City factorial to beat. Maybe next year, City falters and Liverpool picks it up. At the end of the day, only one team gets to become the champion, and that is a team who holds it for 38 weeks. Currently, we are probably slightly far away from there, but here's to hoping that probably they fix it up in due time.
So
I
in this year,
personally,
it's,
oh, sorry.
continue, Debraj.
Oh, acha. With United, I think they have a very good team, but I don't think with midfielders like their defense is very solid. I personally feel, and I think it's a defense with exactly with Luke Shaw coming back, and Van Bissaka. He's not exactly brilliant going forward and stuff, but he's so good defensively, and I think that's a defense they can go on to win. That with that defense they can go on to win the title. I think their problem lies in attacking, and I don't think obviously McTominay and Fred are like very good players, but I don't think they are players. Personally, I don't think they can lead a title charge. Obviously, they're what 14 points behind right now, and if they win on Sunday, they'll be closer, and it just takes a couple of games to turn it around. But I don't, you know, obviously there can be like a purple patch kind of thing, like McTominay. People were gassing McTominay this season, saying that he has more goals than Firmino. Like all these things will come, but I don't think
Everybody
we.
has more goals than Firmino.
Yeah, we are like, but I don't think with Fred and McTominay exactly they will.
So,
If Pogba
this is
does leave
actually
in,
true. This is
yeah,
actually
if
true
Pogba
because, yeah, sure.
if Pogba does leave in the summer, I think Van de Beek can take his role. Then I think a midfield between Bruno, Van de Beek, and Fred or McTominay can take place. And I think the coach, Ole, he's a good manager and stuff, and he has taken United to a good level. But I don't think again he's a coach to like like he's just. I don't think because if you look at the big games that he's played, I think he plays it safe more than actually going and trying to win it. Like he's no, he's I think he's afraid of losing more than I personally think they need a better manager, like an actual coach that is going to bring in a system that will thrive if they want to get back to the top level. Like I don't think this hit and miss is going to work for them if they want what even if this works by any chance they'll get what maximum one title, but if they want their dominance back and stuff, I think they need like an actual coach which is going to get a system like look at what happened with Lampard. Like it was just hit and miss. It's like people were losing it while Lampard left and stuff. But now you look at them with Tuchel, they have like a solid, even though they are not scoring 4 or 5 goals, they are still having a consistency in defense. And they went away in the Champions League and beat the leaders of La Liga. So I think they need a better coach, not better, obviously, like someone with a system, someone with a philosophy. I think
Someone with more tactical ability, someone who
yeah,
can switch it up.
exactly. Exactly. I think even Ancelotti would have been a great choice for United over Ole Gunnar or like, and United obviously have the pull, they have the money. I think they should definitely go for someone who's not going to play McTominay and Fred unnecessarily game week and game
Mhm.
week out when you have options on the bench and it's just personally what I think. Obviously, they know
No,
more
but
than
it
me.
is actually true. If you think about it, see, McTominay and Fred, they are individually, they have had decent seasons. I'm not going to go into the details and tell, okay, fine, they've not been
Fred has
bad
improved a
unnecessarily.
lot.
Yeah. But my Fred has had absolutely very paranormal stats. The only person who has actually trumped him in terms of stats is Rodri. I was pretty surprised. See, everyone was gassing up slight players, and then there was no mention of Rodri. So I did think for a moment he had a dip, but his stats have been paranormal. He has been
No,
phenomenal
no,
this season.
Rodri was hated a lot because he cost 60 million, and last season he was apparently horrible. They played him in on double pivot, and like he used to like mess up a lot trying to
Uh-huh.
stop. But this season he has stepped it up a lot. But last season he was very mediocre. Like
Mhm.
obviously he's young, he's a young player, and he just came new into this league from La Liga, so obviously he was going to take time into settling. But Fred has improved a lot. But I don't
Yeah,
think
but
that Fred and Tomine, that creativity is not gonna come. You're like that 0-0 with Crystal Palace. I actually stayed up all night to watch it. Like I don't think that is how you're going to get back dominance. Like you guys might have a purple patch and actually beat City this time,
Mhm.
and you did have it last season too. You got the double over City, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, bragging right." But long term wise, you finished below City. Where it mattered to beat City in the Carabao Cup semi-final and actually go on to win this cup. You
Mhm.
guys didn't step it up there. You guys won 6 points in the league, but then you couldn't even finish above City. Like so, I think you need like a real coach, and these bunch of players are very good. Like they are so talented and stuff, and I think Ole also has done a good job with Luke Shaw.
As a
Bringing
man
him
manager,
like
his skills are see. I'm not going to. As a man manager, and his transfers have been good, but tactically, his time and again come short. See, when you have a record against the top six, where you're constantly looking at the number of zeros and the losses, at some point of time, you're going to ask, okay, when is my manager actually going to take the leap against these teams? When is my manager actually going to come out of a McT Fred double pivot? See, they are both very good players, but if you use both
yeah,
of them, you're just draining Bruno of his additional powers. You're literally telling him, okay, Bruno, you have to drop deep, take the ball, go front, spread it out to players, probably get back in the box for a goal. And asking a number 10 to do this much, especially at the back of such a good season, is is terrorism to say the least. I mean,
especially
for
when
lack of a better
McTominay
word.
especially when McTominay and Fred are playing, you guys don't seem to have the ball like the big against the big teams. You guys are not keeping possession. So when you do keep possession, that's when Bruno thrives. Like when people are passing the ball to him and creating spaces, that's when he can put in his crosses, and he's created a lot of chances to this season. So I think with the big teams, like if you watch the 2-0 loss against Manchester City in the Carabao Cup semi-final,
Mhm.
like I don't think United even like made a difference or make a difference.
They
I
were
don't think I didn't
submissive,
like
if you were to look at the right word. They were actually
not even
submissive throughout the
submissive. I don't think they were interested. Like I think if you guys had more of the ball, I think if Pogba was present or Van de Beek was present, like a creative midfielder, I think with Bruno that link up is needed. With Fred and McTominay, I don't think it's
because
going to
even tomorrow
be
there's a
long.
solid case. See, day after there's a solid case for maybe let's say Pogba is not injured and so he doesn't play, and then they go back to a Fred McTee. But when Pogba was present too, he's been used in a very poor manner. I
Exactly.
mean, the amount of chances he could have actually see, he's a big game player. See, there have been issues about his price tag, his performance, but he is a big game player. He can turn it up when he requires, and his balls are. I mean, how to say? The passes that he can spread are absolutely wonderful. He can unlock a defense in a split second. But when you have
Yeah.
such an option and then you still go back to such, how to say, very defensive midfield, that is when you realize that, okay, this is a person who wants to play it safe and can't take a risk. And in the Premier League, you do not take the risk, you do not get the rewards. I mean, this is one of the greatest leagues in the world. I mean, it has come where it is because of its reputation, right? So I think there are reasons, there are areas that I have my doubts with, which is why tomorrow, a day after, I've constantly mentioned, if you're going to play it safe against a team which is ruthless with its chances, there is no way you can actually think of having. You can't be positive in such times. You have to actually think, okay, maybe against the run of mill we get a play, but what's the point? Again, like Debraj said, it's a purple patch. Probably runs for 4 or 5 games, and then it closes, and then you decide, okay, what's next? Do we just wait for another purple patch? No, we have to start figuring out how we actually go about making a system.
So Sharat made an interesting point that Premier League is one of the most competitive leagues in the world. But for the last four United big games, we have seen nil-nil. Surely not another nil-nil in a game that has given us Van Persie's last-minute winner, a 6-1 win for City at Etihad, Michael Owen's last-minute winner. So before closing out, I would like to hear out your predictions for the game.
I am at this point. I think so. It's a 2-1 or maybe a 2-0 to City. Fair shot. I mean, I don't look at us coming out with points out of this. I am.
And Debraj, what do you say?
I think it will be like a 1-1 or I definitely think it will be another draw or a United win. Rule of the universe. You guys are bound to win this. So many draws and Man City are having the time of their life. It's bound to be an upset. Like it's
I hope so. I really hope so.
So thank you all for having us here. So we
Thank
hope
you.
to see you in the next video.
Yes, pleasure's all mine. Bye bye.